Paramedics are usually first to respond to medical emergency calls, but now they are reportedly in distress themselves. Their morale has hit rock bottom. So what needs to be done to address this important issue? We have in the studio Councillor Jim Karygiannis. Please join me in welcoming him to the show. Thank you for being here, Jim.
Thank you, Molly. Appreciate it.
So before we talk about the problem, I want to know, how did we get here?
The neglect by the city over the years, the needs that the paramedics needed.
These are the most important people.
These are the people that when you dial 111, they're here to save your life.
Yeah.
And they're dialing 911 for us to be able to look after their morale.
Okay. So how did we get here?
Well, you know, I got involved with the paramedics a couple of years ago. And before that, when I was the federal member of parliament, friends that were in the paramedics were sort of hinting, hey, we got problems, we got problems. Mm-hmm. So 2 years ago, the paramedics came to see me and said, we got a morale problem. And we did a research, we did a survey online and everything else, and we heard a lot of distress and a lot of problems. Then I put a motion in, this was July 2015 in council, in order to address this distress. And the thing was that we thought was going to fix it. Mm-hmm. And it sort of like patched it up. And then the chief that was at the time, he got moved to another department, and now we have a new acting chief. Mm-hmm. And I got calls from the paramedics saying we got problems. And I said, okay, what is the problem? Mm-hmm. And I wanted to go and see the headquarters. I mean, you know, this is on Dufferin and just north of Allen, just, you know, where Dufferin starts. And I went and I've seen the station, and they showed me, you know, this is the headquarters, and they showed me all the, how they're taking care and all that stuff. One of the things, however, they did not address, and I wanted to find out, was how the paramedics were feeling at work. The frontline troops, people that would respond when you called 911, people when you respond when you are needing a paramedic.
Okay, so how are they feeling?
They're feeling very distressed.
Why?
There's a lot of problems. And these problems can be fixed very easily. Mm-hmm.
What are the problems?
The problem, and I will speak, I mean, it's a little specific, and I need 30 seconds to address this. Yeah. There's a new system that is called Chronos, and this new system is supposed to track the paramedics' time. It's supposed to dispatch them. It's supposed to, for them when they go to the station, they tap on for them to know that they're on the system. That system has difficulties. Mm-hmm. That system is not up to spiff. It does not work. It has great difficulties, and that's the biggest problem. Mm-hmm. So if you're a paramedic and you go to the station and you tap on, and the system's supposed to recognize that you're on, well, there's paramedics that tells me that we've done a couple of calls, and I got to get a call from dispatch and saying, which truck are you on and who are you with? Mm. And this system's supposed to have picked you up in order for the system to tell us where you are, where you're not. Mm-hmm.
So from what I hear,
that's one of the problems.
This is not a very big problem. It should have been addressed a long time ago. So why have we not addressed it?
Well, the vendor that has sold us the system has difficulties, and we needed to call them back. Mm-hmm. And in order to address the system, now we have to spend more money in order to figure out. So mm-hmm. the system itself was 11 million plus. Now we're spending another 1.7 million to address it. Mm-hmm. Okay, you know what? Money is to be spent. If it's going to resolve the issue, fine. But the other problem that we have is that when the system dispatches the ambulances, mm-hmm. it doesn't dispatch the right ambulance to the right call. Mm-hmm. Last June, in one of my schools, in one of the class, which somebody that teaches there is very close to me and is a relative of mine, there was an anaphylactic reaction, and she called. And it took the ambulance 15 minutes. And then I found out that they dispatched one ambulance, and in the middle of the call, that ambulance had to leave and go somewhere else because it was an ALS, Advanced Life Savings. Mm-hmm. And they sent somebody which was a basic life savings. Mm-hmm. So when you see the paramedics, you look at their shoulders. There's 3 stripes, 2 stripes, or 1 stripe. If there are 3 stripes, they're advanced paramedics. They respond to heart attacks. They respond to seizures. They respond to strokes. And mm-hmm. they're the people that can do the IV. They can, you know, if they need to get air into your lungs, they're the people that are advanced. We don't have enough advanced life-saving units responding.
Why are people not applying for this job? Is it that they are not applying, or is it because it's not attractive enough for them to be part of this? What is
we
the
do
problem?
we do have enough paramedics that are advanced life savings,
Okay.
and we need to train more. But to train somebody to become an advanced life saving paramedic is $100,000. We need to spend that money, and we need to be able to retain them in the city before, after we train, they don't leave. But let me give you an example. At any given time, 30% of the ambulances that are out there, they have to be ALS, advanced life savings. I went out with the paramedics for 3 nights to listen to their concerns. So I went to the hospitals, I went to the emergencies, and I spent from 8 o'clock until 2 o'clock in the morning just talking to them. Any given night, there's about 60 to 65 ambulances out on the road in the city of Toronto looking after its citizens. There's supposed to be 30% of them supposed to be advanced life savings, people that got the advanced skills to look after the difficult situations. That would be 18 to 20 ambulances.
Okay.
The nights that I was out there, and the nights of August, it's been reported that the most there is around 7, 8, or 9, not 18 or 20.
So
And
what
one
is the
night,
reason for
one
that?
night in all of Scarborough, there was one ALS, one advanced life-saving crew out on the road. So if let's say I had gotten a heart attack, they would have responded to me. And at the point, the same time, the same day, you had gotten a seizure or something, there will not be another unit in Scarborough to report to you. They have to send one from downtown.
And that
Now,
will take 45 minutes to an hour to get
15
here.
minutes, 20 minutes to respond. If you got a heart attack, they must respond within 8 to 9 minutes. That's the standard. If it takes them 12 or 13, you or I can die, or anybody, any citizens of Toronto can die. So we need to address the importance and the need for advanced life savings, the ALS paramedics. We need to make sure that there's more of them.
So why are people of Scarborough again, I have to say that again,
Well-
not being treated fairly because we pay our fair share of
Yes,
taxes?
it's not an issue of Scarborough or downtown. It's an issue for the whole city. I mean,
No,
I'm just giving you an example of what happened one day. But I mean, there's other things that actually, let's say, make the paramedics very demoralized. Their uniforms, they're not standard. There's 4 different sets of uniforms. The first night that I went out, I was talking to about 5 paramedics, and they were all having a different uniform. The female paramedics, and I have to be proud of this, and we've done a good work. 40% of our paramedic force is female.
Okay, so one of the big things that I read about is that the uniforms are not the right type of
Molly,
uniform. So what is the
Molly,
problem?
We have 4 types of uniforms. The first night I went out, I was talking to 4 paramedics, and all of them had different type uniforms, like Generation 1, Generation 2, Generation 3, Generation 4, and it goes on.
Okay.
Not only that, but we have 40% with our female staff, and I'm very proud of it. But the women are ending up wearing men's small because we don't have female uniforms. If a female is not comfortable in the clothes that she wears, she can't
Really do her job properly.
Exactly. Not only that, but we give them material. I mean, some of the uniforms, like the shirts, are winterized shirts, and they have to wear them in the summertime.
Oh my goodness.
Their pants
They
are.
can't be comfortable in that.
They're not comfortable. If the person is not comfortable, and especially in this work, and especially when they're carrying, they're lifting, they're doing emergency work, well, they won't be able to do their work right. Some of the material that we give them, like they have belts and they put things on their belts, those things are falling apart. And we may got to make sure that we buy the right equipment in order for these things to last. There's not one paramedic that is using a city-issued stethoscope. They can't hear properly. So they go out and they buy their own stethoscopes.
So the city is, what you're telling me is that the city
We're
is
cutting corners.
issuing them substandard stuff?
Secondary material, yes.
And why is that?
Well, I want to get to the bottom of it.
Yes.
They wear helmets just in case they have to go anywhere. Their visors are falling apart. So we're not giving them the right tools that they need in order to be able to perform their work properly. That's one biggest problem of the morale. Never mind about Kronos and need to be a charter accountant in order to read their overtime and their paycheck. Forget about that. If we can only fix the problem of the uniform, give them the proper uniform, give them the proper tools, they'll be happy. And everything else will become secondary. Now, when the paramedics come to see you, right? They carry some bags with them.
Yeah.
And you grab one of those bags, that's a 40-pounder. Now, if they come to your house and it's like it's on the street, that's fine. But can you imagine having to tote a bag, 40 pounds, up like 3 levels of stairs? They don't have shoulder straps to put it on. So it's small things that can be fixed.
Yeah,
Small things
so if it's a lady, it's very difficult to be going up the stairs.
Very simple.
Even for men, it would be difficult. And if we can make things easy for them, it's common sense.
it's common sense, it's common practice, and you know, like, I mean, even the union rep that was with me, when we were asking them those questions, he was also surprised with some of the things that we're finding out.
Okay.
So those are the things that we need to address. Those are the things that we have to make sure that we have more ALS. We fix the system that puts them on, you know, like their schedule, the one that does the payroll, the schedule, everything else. And the other thing we have to address is like morale about the uniforms. I mean, you can't have a uniform that says paramedics and the letters are falling apart. You can't have that. We're a first-class city, the largest city in Toronto, in Canada, the engine of Canada, and we have uniforms that look like third country uniforms. We cannot have.
We cannot. And now, for the benefit of our viewers, can you tell us why we need to have 3 generations of uniforms? Is there a reason for that?
Well, the issue is
why
that
can't they just all be wearing one uniform?
Well, you're issued one uniform, and the next generation that come up, it's not comfortable, and you don't want to get rid of it, so you keep on washing your old shirts until they fall apart because you feel comfortable. Not only that, a lot of people are not buying. I mean, they're not wearing city issued uniforms, and they go out and buy their own. So the thing is, I've talked to the old chief of the police, Chief Blair, and he said when he was chief, there was 7-8 years ago, there was an issue that we had 7 different types of uniform for police, and he says he abandoned it and he got one. We can do the same thing. We can ask the staff what's feel comfortable, so we can either bring the uniform in or give them a stipend. Say, okay, you got $400, go buy the uniform, but it has to be from, you know, it has to be these standards, this colors, and everything else. This is one of the things that we can do, and we must have uniforms that are fitting for women. You can't ask a lady to wear a men's
I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't wear it.
Well, but Molly,
yeah, and because this
is what they have to put up with.
Yeah. So here's what I would like to tell you as our representative at the City Hall on behalf of all the residents of Toronto, that we want all our first responders to be taken care of properly.
Yep.
We want them to know that we care for them, we appreciate what they're doing, we appreciate them putting their lives at risk for us, and we want our city government, a municipal government, to give them all the necessary help and resources they need to do their job properly. I mean, there's not too much to ask for.
There's 2 more things that I need to do. One, I mean, today being Saturday, I'm having more meetings with the advanced life savings, the basic life savings, and tomorrow, Sunday, I'm having more meetings with the females as well as the part-timers. I want to hear from them versus hearing it on the street for 3 nights. Now it's their turn to come and have their say. Now it's their time to come and say to us that, look, this is what we need. I'll write a report and then I'll call the chief in, and I'm going to tell the chief, how do we accomplish this? You got to remember, it's not senior staff. The ultimate responsibility in the City of Toronto rests with one body, and that's City Council.
That's
and
right.
that's where the buck stops. This is where the people that are responsible, and it's the mayor and councillors in order to look after them. I don't think my colleagues appreciate the fact that we have paramedics that are facing this stuff. This is just starting to come out. This was not, at the surface. Not even the union reps were aware of this. And it wasn't until we started asking the questions. Like, I will go up to the paramedic on the Friday or Saturday night and said, tell me what you need. And the questions started coming up. The suggestions started coming up. We got to make sure that we address those issues. We got to make sure that, like the police, like the fire, our paramedics have the right tools and they're happy, because when we dial 911, we need them to look after us.
Absolutely. I mean, it's only fair.
Not
It's
only
only
fair,
fair.
but it also, I mean, a happy paramedic will pay more attention to you, and the morale is high. They will pay extremely attention to you, and your chances of survival gone up by 100%.
Yes, and there you go. So thank you for coming and for letting us know, because we always like to know what is happening in our city, what are the issues that are taking place, and we want this to be addressed.
Thank you, Molly, and I'm looking forward not only to work with the paramedics, but to work with staff and all of the people from Toronto to address this issue. And if anybody out there has concerns or needs to talk about their paramedic experience, good or bad, you know what? They can reach me at 416-392-1374.
All right, and if you happen to be a paramedic or the family member of one of the paramedics that serves our city, we want to tell you how much we appreciate you and that we stand with you and behind you, and we will not rest until this matter is taken care of.
Let me close by saying I want to thank them for their service.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Don't go anywhere. We have lots more for you.